Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Belarus has long been portrayed as a tightly controlled state where power flows smoothly from the top, and the security forces operate as a single, disciplined body. Yet beneath this image of unity, cracks have been forming for years, and today those cracks are harder to ignore. The idea that the Belarusian army and leadership are completely united no longer holds up under closer examination. What we are witnessing now is a subtle but serious leadership split, where loyalty is tested, confidence is shaken, and unity inside the military establishment can no longer be taken for granted. To understand why the army in Belarus is not fully united, it is important to look at how power has traditionally been maintained. The system has relied heavily on personal loyalty to the leadership rather than on strong institutions. Promotions, privileges, and protection have often depended on political obedience instead of professional merit. For a long time, this approach worked because fear and stability went hand in hand, but as pressure has increased both at home and abroad, that balance has begun to weaken. One major factor contributing to the split is the growing gap between senior leadership and mid-level officers. Senior commanders are often closely tied to the political leadership and benefit directly from the existing system. They have much to lose if change occurs. Mid-level officers, however, are the ones managing troops on a daily basis. They see low morale, limited resources, and uncertainty about the future. Many of them are professionals who joined the army to serve the country, not to protect political power at any cost. Economic pressure has also played a quiet but powerful role in dividing the ranks. Belarus has faced ongoing economic challenges, sanctions, and reduced access to international markets. These pressures filter down into military life through outdated equipment, delayed upgrades, and limited benefits for service members. When soldiers and officers feel that their sacrifices are not matched by support from the state, frustration grows. Over time, frustration turns into doubt, and doubt weakens unity. Another layer of division comes from generational differences inside the army. Older officers were shaped by a different era, one where strict hierarchy and unquestioned obedience were the norm. Younger officers, however, have grown up in a more connected world. They have access to outside information, alternative viewpoints, and different models of leadership. Even if they do not openly challenge authority, their mindset is often less rigid, making blind loyalty harder to enforce. The political role of the military has further complicated matters. Instead of focusing purely on national defense, the army has increasingly been drawn into internal security considerations. This blurring of roles creates tension within the ranks. Some officers believe the military should remain neutral and professional, while others accept or even support a more political function. When the mission itself becomes unclear, unity naturally suffers. Public perception also affects internal cohesion more than it might seem. When large segments of society express dissatisfaction or protest, soldiers are placed in a difficult position. Many come from the same communities as the protesters. They share similar economic struggles and social concerns. Being asked to stand against people who look like family or friends creates moral stress. And moral stress is one of the strongest forces that can divide a military institution. Training and doctrine have not escaped this internal strain either. Officially, the army continues to train as a unified force, but informal conversations and attitudes tell a different story. Trust between units and commands can be fragile when political loyalty becomes a hidden criterion for advancement. Officers may hesitate to speak openly, fearing that honest assessments could be misinterpreted as disloyalty. This culture of silence weakens effectiveness and deepens divisions. The leadership split is not always loud or dramatic. It does not necessarily appear as open rebellion or public statements. Instead, it shows up in hesitation, in slow decision-making, and in a lack of initiative. Orders may still be followed, but the enthusiasm behind them is diminished. This kind of quiet division can be more dangerous than open conflict because it erodes strength from within while maintaining the appearance of control. External factors have also intensified these internal dynamics. Regional tensions and conflicts nearby have forced Belarus to make difficult strategic choices. Alignments, expectations, and obligations place additional pressure on the military leadership. Some officers may question whether these choices truly serve national interests or primarily protect political survival. Such questions, even when unspoken, contribute to a sense that not everyone is moving in the same direction. Morale among rank-and-file soldiers is another key issue. Conscripts and contract soldiers often experience the realities of service most directly. When morale drops at the lower levels, it eventually affects the entire structure. Soldiers who feel disconnected from leadership are less likely to trust decisions made at the top. This disconnect reinforces the perception that the army is not a single, united force, but a collection of individuals navigating uncertainty. Information control, once a strong tool for maintaining unity, has become less effective. Despite restrictions, news and opinions still find their way in. Soldiers and officers compare official narratives with what they hear from family, friends, and alternative sources. When these narratives clash, confusion arises. Confusion does not automatically lead to opposition, but it does weaken confidence, and confidence is essential for unity. The leadership itself is not immune to internal disagreements. Different factions within the power structure may prioritize different strategies for survival and stability. Some favor a hard-line approach, relying on strict control and enforcement. Others may quietly believe that limited reform or adjustment is necessary to maintain long-term stability. When these differences exist at the top, they inevitably ripple downward into the military. It is also important to note that the Belarusian army is not a monolith. Different branches, units, and regions experience conditions differently. Elite units with better funding and closer ties to leadership may feel more secure and loyal. Regular units stationed away from centers of power may feel neglected and uncertain. This uneven experience further undermines the idea of a fully united force. History offers many examples of how leadership splits within the military can shape a country's future. Often, such splits begin quietly with dissatisfaction and doubt long before any visible change occurs. Belarus appears to be in this early stage, where unity is questioned internally but maintained outwardly. This stage is unstable because it relies heavily on pressure rather than genuine cohesion. The question is not whether the Belarusian army will suddenly fracture, but whether it can continue operating effectively under these conditions. A military does not need to rebel to be weakened. Reduced trust, low morale, and divided leadership are enough to limit its effectiveness and flexibility. In moments of crisis, these weaknesses become especially significant. For the political leadership, this situation presents a dilemma. Tightening control may enforce obedience in the short term, but it risks deepening resentment and division. Allowing more professional independence could strengthen unity, but may reduce political control. Navigating this balance is increasingly difficult as pressures mount. From the perspective of ordinary soldiers and officers, the future feels uncertain. Many are likely focused on personal stability rather than political outcomes. They want clear missions, fair treatment, and confidence that their service has purpose. When these basic needs are not met, loyalty becomes conditional rather than absolute. The international community often views Belarus through a simplified lens, assuming complete control and unity. The reality inside the military is more complex. Understanding this complexity is crucial for anyone trying to assess the country's stability and direction. Leadership splits and lack of unity do not guarantee change, but they do signal vulnerability. As time goes on, the cost of maintaining the appearance of unity may increase. Resources, trust, and legitimacy are not infinite. Each challenge, whether economic, political, or social, tests the strength of internal bonds. If those bonds continue to weaken, the army's role as a pillar of stability may be questioned even from within. In the end, the story of Belarus's leadership split, and an army that is not fully united, is not about sudden collapse. It is about gradual erosion. It is about the slow separation between authority and belief, between orders and conviction. This process is subtle, often invisible to outsiders, but deeply felt by those inside the system. What happens next will depend on how these internal tensions are addressed or ignored. Unity built on fear can last for a time, but unity built on trust lasts longer. The Belarusian army stands at a crossroads between these two paths. Whether it moves toward renewed cohesion or deeper division remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the image of complete unity no longer reflects the reality beneath the surface.